The breaking point. The transmission cut through every channel across Earth's colonies. No warning, no preamble, just the cold, sterile chamber of the Galactic Hegemony's High Court materializing on screens everywhere. High Arbiter Vexthor stood at its center, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns that humans had learned to recognize as smugness. Commander Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the ESS Nightingale, her knuckles white against the command chair's armrests. The ship's crew fell silent, their routine tasks forgotten as the broadcast demanded their attention. Humans. Vexthor's translated voice resonated with artificial perfection. Your species continues to defy the natural order. Your expansion violates treaties. Your technology advances beyond approved parameters. Your very existence disrupts the harmony we have maintained for 10,000 cycles. Behind him, a group of human colonists were led into view. Farmers from New Eden, Chen realized with growing horror. She recognized their clothes, the distinctive blue patches that marked them as hydroponic specialists. Among them were children, no more than 6 or 7 Earth years old. Examples must be set, Vexthor continued. The harmony must be preserved. Get me a secure channel to command, Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the rage building in her chest. Now. Lieutenant Rodriguez's fingers flew across his console. Channel open, Commander. This is Chen. Are you seeing this? We are. General Marcus Way's voice came through, grim and controlled. Stand by for orders. The first execution began. Clinical. Efficient. A beam of energy that reduced a human being to atoms in seconds. Then another. And another. Chen watched every moment, burning it into her memory. Her crew did the same, their faces masks of controlled fury. They had all lost someone to the hegemony's peacekeeping over the years. But this was different. This was a message. Commander, Rodriguez interrupted, his voice tight. New transmission from command. Priority Alpha. Text only. Chen's tablet lit up with a single line. Chimera is go. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. Project Chimera wasn't supposed to exist. It was a rumor, a whisper among high-ranking officers, something too dangerous to even contemplate. Yet here was the authorization, clear as day. Plot a course for Luna Base, she ordered. Maximum speed. Communications blackout except for command channels. The Nightingale's engines hummed to life as Chen opened a secure channel to her senior staff. Meeting in my ready room. 5 minutes. Inside the ready room, Chen faced her 3 most trusted officers. Commander James Wong, her XO, stood with his arms crossed, still watching the ongoing broadcast on a small screen. Dr. Emily Santos, Chief Medical Officer, sat with perfect posture, her expression unreadable. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez had brought her tablet, already pulling up classified files with her security clearance. What we're about to discuss never leaves this room, Chen began. Project Chimera is real, and we're about to wake them up. Them. Wong's eyebrow raised. Chen activated the room's holographic display. Images appeared, medical files, genetic sequences, training simulations. 5 years ago, Earth Command began a secret program. Volunteers underwent extensive genetic modification using a combination of human DNA manipulation and other sources. My God, Santos whispered, examining the medical data. This is impossible. The cellular stability alone. It works. Chen cut her off. 30 subjects survived the process. They're stronger, faster, and more resilient than any human has a right to be. They can also do things that, she paused, choosing her words carefully, that we previously thought were impossible. Why haven't we used them before? Rodriguez asked. Because once we activate them, there's no going back, Chen replied. The modifications are permanent and progressive. Each time they access their abilities, the changes become more pronounced. More permanent. We couldn't be sure we could control them. And now, Wong's voice was quiet. Chen gestured to the broadcast, still playing silently. Now we don't have a choice. The hegemony thinks they can break us with this display. They don't understand what humans do when pushed too far. She brought up another file, a location deep within Luna Base. We're going to wake up the chimeras, all of them. And then we're going to show the hegemony exactly what humanity is capable of. The journey to Luna Base took 6 hours. Chen spent it reviewing the chimera files, learning everything she could about the 30 individuals who would soon become humanity's most powerful weapons. Each had been chosen carefully: soldiers, scientists, engineers, all with exceptional psychological profiles and an unwavering devotion to human survival. Luna Base's hidden levels were a shock, a massive complex buried deep beneath the public facilities. Dr. Catherine Hayes, the project's lead scientist, met them at the security checkpoint. "Commander Chen," Hayes nodded. "We've begun the revival process. Would you like to meet them?" The cryo chamber was vast, 30 pods arranged in a circle, each now active with status lights showing the careful process of waking their occupants. Hayes led Chen to the nearest pod, its surface clearing to reveal the woman inside. "Captain Sarah Reyes," Hayes said. "Former Special Forces. She was our first successful subject, and she's maintained the most stable genetic profile. She'll lead the others, assuming the activation process goes as planned." "And if it doesn't?" Hayes's expression darkened. "Then we'll have 30 superhuman individuals with unstable genetic structures and potentially compromised mental states. But given what the hegemony has done, I'm not sure that would be the worst outcome." The first pod hissed open. Captain Rice's eyes snapped open, golden with vertical pupils that narrowed in the light. She sat up smoothly, her movements too precise, too controlled to be fully human. "Dr. Hayes," her voice was rough from cryo-sleep. "Is it time?" "Yes, Sarah. The hegemony has crossed a line. We're activating everyone." Reyes nodded, then turned to Chen. "Commander, I've been briefed on various scenarios during my training. Which are we facing?" Chen activated a screen, showing the broadcast that was still continuing. Reyes watched, her inhuman eyes narrowing, a low growl building in her throat. Around them, other pods began to open. "They're killing children," Reyes said, her voice carrying harmonics that made Chen's spine tingle. "To send a message." "Yes. Then we'll send one back." Reyes stood, her body moving with liquid grace. "Wake my people, Doctor. It's time to hunt." As the other chimeras emerged, Chen saw what humanity had created. Some showed their modifications more obviously than others. Altered eyes, subtle changes in bone structure, muscles that moved in ways they shouldn't. But all of them had the same controlled power, the same predatory grace. The hegemony had wanted to make humanity fear them. Instead, they had given humans a reason to unleash their darkest creations. As Chen watched the chimeras prepare for their first mission, she wondered if the aliens would understand their mistake before it was too late. Humanity had created monsters to protect itself. Now those monsters were awake, and they were hungry for revenge. Project Chimera. The combat simulation chamber within Luna Base's restricted level hummed with energy as Captain Sarah Reyes led her team through their first coordinated exercise. 29 enhanced humans moved in perfect synchronization, their bodies adapting to their awakened abilities with frightening speed. Dr. Hayes stood beside Commander Chen in the observation room, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic displays as she monitored their vital signs. "The genetic integration is holding better than we'd hoped. Each of them is pushing well beyond our theoretical limits." Below, Reyes vaulted 15 meters straight up, her body twisting impossibly as she avoided simulated plasma fire. Her team responded instantly, moving to exploit the opening she created in the enemy's defenses. The simulation's difficulty was set well beyond human capability, yet the chimeras made it look effortless. "They're not just stronger and faster," Chen observed. "They're coordinating without speaking." Hayes nodded. "An unexpected development." The genetic modifications seem to have created a low-level empathic field between them. They can sense each other's intentions, share tactical information without verbal communication. It makes them devastatingly effective as a unit. The simulation ended with a perfect score. Reyes gathered her team, their golden eyes gleaming in the chamber's harsh light. Despite the intense exercise, none of them showed signs of fatigue. "Commander," Reyes called out, "we're ready for a real mission." Chen entered the chamber, noting how the chimeras unconsciously arranged themselves in a defensive formation around their leader. Their movements were smooth, precise, and utterly inhuman. "The hegemony has multiple strategic command centers throughout their territory," Chen began. "Each one coordinates their military operations across dozens of systems. We've identified the 3 most crucial targets." Holographic maps appeared, showing vast space stations orbiting distant worlds. These facilities are supposedly impregnable. Multiple layers of defense, constant patrol coverage, and automated response systems that can vaporize pan any unauthorized vessel that gets too close. Reyes studied the projections, her enhanced eyes taking in every detail. "How many ships can you give us?" 3 stealth corvettes, modified with experimental tech. They're small, fast, and virtually invisible to hegemony sensors. Chen highlighted the ship's specifications. "Each can carry 10 of your team." "Lieutenant Marcus," Reyes called out. A tall man with silvered eyes stepped forward. "Your background was in hegemony tech analysis, correct?" "Yes, Captain." "Their systems are advanced, but predictable. They rely heavily on automation and predetermined response patterns. If we can disrupt their standard protocols, their entire defense network will struggle to adapt." Another chimera spoke up, her voice carrying a subtle resonance that made the air vibrate. "Their arrogance is their weakness. They believe their technology makes them invulnerable. They've forgotten what it means to face an enemy that can think and adapt." "Exactly, Dr. Chen." Reyes turned back to Commander Chen. "No relation, I assume?" "None." Chen replied with a small smile. "Dr. Lin Chen was one of our top xenobiologists before volunteering for the program. Her insights into hegemony biology have been invaluable." Reyes nodded. "We'll split into 3 teams. I'll lead the assault on their primary command center. Marcus, you'll take the secondary facility. Dr. Chen, the tertiary target is yours. Each team will have a mix of combat specialists and technical experts." The chimeras began organizing themselves, their movements synchronized with unnatural precision. Chen watched as they assembled into their units, each group already developing distinct tactical approaches based on their members' specialized abilities. "One question," Chen interrupted. "The hegemony's execution broadcast is still ongoing. They're making an example of our people across the galaxy. Do you want to see the latest?" "No," Reyes replied, her voice carrying a growl that made the air temperature seem to drop. "We know what they're doing. Showing us more will only make it harder to think clearly when the time comes, and we need to think clearly for this to work." Hayes stepped forward, her scientific detachment slipping slightly. "The modifications, they're still evolving. Each time you use your abilities, the changes become more pronounced. We don't know how far it will go." "We knew the risks when we volunteered, Doctor." Reyes's eyes seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. "Humanity needed weapons that could match the hegemony. You gave us the power to become those weapons. Whatever happens to us now is worth it. We can stop them." The next 12 hours were a blur of preparation. The stealth corvettes were loaded with specialized equipment, while the chimeras ran increasingly complex battle simulations. Each team developed its own strategy, coordinating through their empathic link to ensure their attacks would create maximum chaos across hegemony space. Commander Chen watched from the command center as the ships prepared for launch. The chimeras moved with fluid grace as they boarded, their modified bodies adapting further with each passing hour. Some now showed more obvious signs of their transformation. Subtle changes in bone structure, enhanced musculature that rippled beneath their skin, eyes that seemed to shift color depending on their emotional state. "They're not human anymore," Hayes said quietly, standing beside Chen. "The genetic modifications are accelerating faster than we predicted. Within days, maybe hours, they'll be something entirely new." "They're what we needed them to be," Chen replied. "The hegemony wanted to break humanity's spirit. Instead, they forced us to evolve." The launch countdown began. On the main screen, the execution broadcast continued its grim display. But soon, very soon, the hegemony would learn that humanity's response would be far more terrifying than anything they had prepared for. The corvettes lifted off silently, their experimental stealth systems masking them from even Luna Base's own sensors. Inside, 30 enhanced humans prepared for war, their modified bodies humming with power that humanity had never meant to unleash. The hegemony had wanted to teach humanity its place in the galaxy. They were about to learn that some lessons come with unexpected consequences. First strike. The hegemony's primary command center hung in space like a twisted crown, its crystalline spires reflecting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Thousands of automated defense platforms orbited it in precise formations, their sensors constantly scanning for threats. Inside, the station's crew, a mix of various alien species that had proven their loyalty to the hegemony, went about their duties with practiced efficiency. None of them noticed the slight distortion in space as Captain Rice's corvette slipped through their defensive grid. "Their arrogance makes them blind," Rides whispered, her enhanced vision tracking the movement of patrol ships through the station's crystalline walls. Her team of 9 other chimeras stood ready in the corvette's deployment bay, their bodies thrumming with barely contained energy. "All teams in position." Marcus's voice echoed in their minds through their empathic link. Across hegemony space, the other 2 corvettes had reached their targets. "Awaiting your signal, Captain." Reyes felt Dr. Chen's team acknowledged their readiness as well. The plan was simple but required perfect timing. 3 simultaneous strikes at the heart of Hegemony Command would throw their entire military response network into chaos. "Begin transmission," Reyes ordered. The corvette's communications array activated, broadcasting a signal that appeared to be routine hegemony traffic. Hidden within it was a virus designed by Marcus, tailored to exploit the predictable patterns in hegemony automation. "Defense grid is responding," one of Reyes's tech specialists reported, his silver eyes tracking data streams only he could see. "Automated systems are accepting the update. Defensive positions will be locked for approximately 3 minutes. More than enough time." Reyes smiled, revealing teeth that had grown slightly sharper since their awakening. "All teams, execute." The corvette's hull split open silently, and 10 enhanced humans launched themselves into space. Their modified bodies could withstand vacuum for several minutes, and their strength made the 100-meter leap to the station's surface trivial. Reyes landed first, her claws, a recent development that still surprised her, finding purchase in the crystalline surface. The station's outer layer was supposedly impenetrable to conventional weapons, but the chimeras were far from conventional. "Access point located," one of her teams sent through their link. "Structure has a resonant frequency we can exploit." "Do it." 5 chimeras pressed their hands against the crystal, their bodies vibrating at precisely the right frequency. The supposedly indestructible material cracked, then shattered, creating a perfect entrance. Station alerts began blaring as the team slipped inside, but it was too late. Through their link, Reyes could sense similar successes at the other facilities. The hegemony's command structure was about to experience something it had never prepared for. The first security team they encountered was a mix of insectoid Krix warriors and reptilian Vexthor. Their weapons were advanced, their armor supposedly impenetrable. Against normal humans, they would have been devastating. The chimeras tore through them in seconds. Reyes moved with impossible speed, her enhanced muscles and reflexes making her faster than the station's security cameras could track. 2 Krix warriors fired plasma bolts at her, but she was already behind them. her claws finding weak points in their armor that no normal human could have detected. The rest of her team spread out with similar efficiency. Years of military training combined with their new abilities made them devastatingly effective. Security barriers meant to stop armies crumbled before their strength. Automated defense systems fell to their technical expertise. Through their link, Reyes could sense similar scenes playing out at the other facilities. Marcus's team had already reached their station's core, while Dr. Chen's group was systematically dismantling their target's command structure. "Captain," one of her team called out, "we've reached the central command chamber." The massive doors were sealed with multiple security systems, backed by energy fields strong enough to vaporize capital ships. Reyes placed her hand against the barrier, feeling the power humming through it. "Together," she commanded. 10 chimeras focused their power, their bodies resonating in perfect harmony. The energy field flickered, then failed. The doors, designed to withstand planetary bombardment, crumpled like paper. Inside, they found the station's command staff, high-ranking members of various hegemony species. The aliens stared in horror at what humanity had become. "Impossible," one of them whispered in their own language. But the chimerous enhanced hearing caught it easily. "You're just primitives. You can't." Reyes lifted him with one hand, her golden eyes glowing. "We were primitives," she agreed. "Then you taught us we needed to be more." Through their link, she coordinated with the other teams. All 3 stations were under their control. Decades of hegemony military coordination was about to be erased. "Send the message," she ordered. Every screen in the station activated, showing the execution broadcast that was still ongoing. Then it changed, showing the chimerous assault from multiple angles. The hegemony's finest warriors and defenses, crushed by beings they had dismissed as primitive. "You showed the galaxy your power by killing children," Reyes spoke, her voice transmitted across hegemony space. "We're showing our power by destroying everything you built. Remember this moment. Remember what humans become when you push us too far." The chimeras planted their charges, advanced explosives that would reduce the stations to atoms. As they returned to their corvettes, Reyes could feel her body changing further, the modifications accelerating with each use of their powers. They were becoming something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. And the hegemony was about to learn that some species should never be backed into a corner. The explosions lit up space like new stars being born, and humanity's message was clear. The real war was just beginning. Escalation. The Hegemony Council chamber erupted into chaos as the recording played again. 3 of their most secure command stations, reduced to debris by creatures that shouldn't exist. High Arbiter Vexthor watched in rigid silence as his fellow council members argued, their voices rising in panic and rage. "How did they create such abominations?" demanded the Crick's representative, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "Their technology was monitored, controlled. Does it matter how?" The Mercian delegate's fur bristled. "They have them now, and they're spreading." In the months since the first strike, the chimeras had launched dozens of attacks across hegemony space. Supply lines were in ruins, military communications were compromised, and fear was spreading through the ranks of every species that had once thought themselves superior to humanity. On the ESS Nightingale, Commander Chen reviewed the latest reports. The chimerous successes had exceeded all expectations, but the cost was becoming clear. With each mission, they changed more dramatically. Dr. Hayes's latest scans showed their genetic structure was still evolving, becoming something entirely new. "They're adapting to each challenge we face," Captain Reyes explained during their secure briefing. Her appearance had altered significantly. Her skin had developed a subtle pattern that seemed to shift with her movements, and her golden eyes now had multiple pupils that allowed her to see spectrums of light no human could perceive. "The modifications are spreading through their entire genetic structure," Hayes added, her voice tight with concern. "They're not just becoming stronger or faster. They're evolving new abilities based on need." The latest footage showed why the hegemony was panicking. A Chimera team had infiltrated a supposedly secure research facility, moving through solid walls as if they were mist. Another group had developed the ability to manipulate energy fields, turning the hegemony's own defense systems against them. "We're losing our humanity," Rise acknowledged, "but we're gaining the power to protect it." The hegemony's response was predictable. They launched a full military offensive against Earth's colonies. Massive fleets of warships emerged from hyperspace, ready to crush humanity once and for all. They found the chimeras waiting for them. Marcus's team had developed the ability to interface directly with ship systems, turning the hegemony's own vessels against them. Dr. Chen's group had learned to generate electromagnetic pulses with their bodies, disabling entire squadrons with a thought. And Reyes's team, they had become living weapons, capable of tearing through hull plating with their bare hands. "They're terrified," Marcus reported after another successful operation. His skin had developed a metallic sheen, and his silver eyes could now process data faster than any computer. "The hegemony's member species are beginning to question everything they were told about humanity." The breaking point came during an assault on a major hegemony shipyard. The facility's defenders included warriors from the Crix, long considered the greatest soldiers in known space. They faced Reyes's team in close combat, expecting an easy victory. The battle was recorded and broadcast across every channel in hegemony space. The Crix fought with all their legendary skill and advanced technology. The chimeras moved like living shadows, their enhanced bodies defying physics and biology alike. When it was over, the mighty Crix warriors lay broken, defeated by beings they had dismissed as primitive just months ago. "This is what you created," Rise transmitted across all frequencies. "You thought humanity was weak, because we weren't like you. So we became something else entirely. Something beyond anything you could imagine." The message sparked revolutions across hegemony space. Species that had been subjugated for centuries saw hope in humanity's defiance. The careful order that the hegemony had maintained for millennia began to crack. In a secure facility on Luna Base, Dr. Hayes made a devastating discovery. The chimeras' evolution wasn't stopping. Each use of their abilities accelerated the changes, pushing them further from their human origins. Soon, they would be something entirely new, a species born from humanity's desperate need to survive. "We knew the risks," Rise said when Hayes shared her findings. Her team gathered around her, each of them showing signs of their ongoing transformation. Some now barely looked human at all. "We chose this path to protect our people. Whatever we become, that purpose remains." The hegemony's execution broadcast had finally ended, but its effects would echo through history. They had tried to break humanity's spirit. Instead, they had forced humanity to transcend its own limitations, creating something that would reshape the galaxy forever. As reports of more colonies rising against hegemony rule flooded in, Commander Chen couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The aliens had wanted to teach humanity its place in the cosmos. Now humanity's children were teaching them that evolution wasn't just a natural process. Sometimes it was a weapon of war. And the war was far from over. Revolution's edge. The hegemony capital world of Nexus Prime gleamed like a jewel in space, its crystalline cities stretching across continents. For 10,000 years, it had stood as the ultimate symbol of power in the galaxy. Now it was the last bastion of a crumbling empire. Captain Sarah Reyes stood on the bridge of a captured hegemony dreadnought, her transformed body reflecting the starlight in ways that made lesser beings flinch. Her team had evolved far beyond their original modifications. They were living weapons, perfectly adapted to wage war against an empire that had thought itself invincible. "The combined fleet is in position," Marcus reported, his chrome-like skin interfacing directly with the ship's systems. Around them, vessels from 24 rebel species waited for the signal to attack. The hegemony's former subjects had rallied to humanity's banner, seeing in Earth's defiance a chance for their own freedom. Dr. Chen's team has confirmed the planetary defense grid is compromised, Rise acknowledged. Through their enhanced empathic link, she could feel her scattered forces moving into position. Some phased through solid matter. Others rode solar winds between ships. All of them changed beyond recognition by the power humanity had unleashed. Commander Chen watched from the ESS Nightingale, coordinating the human elements of the fleet. The past 3 months had transformed the galaxy's political landscape. The hegemony's iron grip had been broken by beings they had created through their own cruelty. The High Council is transmitting, a communications officer reported. They're begging for negotiations. Show me, Rise commanded. High Arbiter Vexthor appeared on the main screen, his crystalline form dulled with stress. Please, he began, his translator struggling to convey his desperation. We acknowledge our errors. We will grant humanity any concessions you desire. Just call off these monsters. Rise finished for him. These abominations you forced us to create. Her multiple pupils contracted, focusing on the alien leader. You broadcast the execution of our children to teach us fear. Instead, you taught us to transcend our limitations. Through the fleet's sensors, they could see the hegemony's remaining forces gathering around Nexus Prime, a last desperate defense of their seat of power. They had assembled the largest armada in their history, crewed by their finest warriors. It wouldn't be enough. All teams, Raya's broadcast, her voice carrying harmonic frequencies that made reality itself shiver, begin the final operation. The Chimeras moved as one, their evolved powers turning space itself into a weapon. Marcus's group infected the hegemony's network with viruses that evolved faster than their systems could adapt. Dr. Chen's team released electromagnetic pulses that turned entire defense grids to scrap. And Rise led the direct assault, her people moving through vacuum like it was water, tearing through hull plating with hands that could reshape matter at will. The hegemony's finest weapons couldn't track them. Their strongest barriers might as well have been missed. You fear what we've become, Rise transmitted as her team breached the High Council's chambers. You should. We're no longer the primitives you tried to keep in chains. We're humanity's answer to your tyranny. The surviving council members cowered as beings that had once been human entered their sanctum. Each chimera was different now. Some flickered between states of matter. Others seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. All of them represented humanity's potential unleashed. Your empire is finished, Rise declared, her voice carrying across every communication channel in known space. The species you enslaved are free. The order you maintained through fear is broken. And humanity. She paused, her transformed body pulsing with energies no scanner could categorize. Humanity will ensure you never threaten anyone again. The surrender was unconditional. The hegemony, an empire that had ruled for 10 millennia, collapsed in a single day. As their former subjects celebrated their freedom, humanity faced a new challenge. What to do with the beings they had created to win their war? We can't go back, Rise told Commander Chen during the victory celebration. Her team gathered around her, each of them now so far from human that new classification systems would be needed to describe them. The changes are permanent, and they're still progressing. We're becoming something else entirely. What will you do? Chen asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Explore. Learn. Grow. We're not human anymore, but we remember why we changed. We'll watch over the galaxy, ensure no empire rises to replace the hegemony. And we'll be ready if humanity ever needs us again. One by one, the Chimeras departed, their evolved forms slipping between the stars in ways that defied conventional physics. They had been created as weapons, but they had become something more. Guardians of a new age, born from humanity's refusal to submit. The hegemony's execution broadcast was preserved in historical archives, a reminder of the moment when an empire's attempt to break humanity's spirit had instead forced it to evolve. They had tried to teach humanity fear. Instead, they had learned a lesson themselves. Some species should never be backed into a corner. Sometimes, the weapons you force your enemies to create become something far beyond your worst nightmares. And humanity, despite the cost, had proven that its children would go to any lengths to protect their own.